forget some of the things that I've done. I wish there was some way to change. But I know it's too late for us now. Changing things wouldn't mean a thing to you. But I did my best to make you smile for me. But I did my best to show you my love. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change.
Yaajne Deeshje ni hitahigal choni hisal in be enot agi in da ebe inosenigi be yachkigi be
Fade away into the
to yat sat linige hatot zikoto yat nakhabash at edil bit sage bash at edil kheshi ye khat zishi kheshi de nabenisito chan ege ke to zi di de lan de no zikit shaba ke ta di le san zenko ba jo ba khesh ya tsadat egit $1,000 in the aya khan so enodnin akhadni to in the ena nishito ni ke ho ito litsda I need age joko nishito kodo ba kha ni zindo le khada aya khajo wud yahdi to le to ajni da ye ya bazet na gay nasit to elzenda de benahdi al benil zilo ent izni khajo be kha win اكيدل زن ودجي دي دنين تكيس نينات نخبي هنديتلي اي بي خنيت زيكو اي بي يلت كيكو اي بي الكيني نيكو انان كديت ليش قد ابي خاطنيزي بي اي يانات ya konsani haskwini ta ya tani kan sagot na beta ko ni ta da te ba jo pan kit o ni ebeni night at ko pat so tilsen nat ani chilni to le so shit a ko chit e to le at ko khashi kashi pa ho jo pa izin zen to le pa dan zan zen to le to et nabik e an chokata to et nato chna ida to et nabich enjil tketa chokot e shi ta out e ko de khajo pa na hotinitsi eni zan to e be khatitsi be nahite tit na ni na hat asalai dish what ani tahi gadole chinki sat it lidole the nashik 8 arts yad o shaba an zin lidole the tenzenit sida kesikit shabe bil qadile shabe bil qasinli kon jonko yetnada to qasnavej ko yet ko yenata to be kayahnas abagannas aj jonko panta has lidole arts ko kai ponit lonin jonko ben khaan zidole e de ben yahni tato ni yato le chini kisat ito le tan ni tahiga to le khojonastli
Yes, everybody stand and rise. If you're able to, with the presentation of the pledge. You may be seated.
G'day everybody. She'e Heather Fleming inisha, but ani nishle do bilagana bashachin, chodachini dashache do bilagana dashanala. My name is Heather, and I serve as the Executive Director of Change Labs. We're your hosts for this evening. And if you're not familiar with us, Change Labs is a Navajo-led organization supporting Native entrepreneurs, small business owners, our artists, our vendors across the Navajo Nation and the surrounding area, because we believe that entrepreneurship creates opportunity, builds wealth, and also helps our communities become stronger and more self-reliant. Tonight's moderator, who I'll introduce in just a moment, is going to pose questions to the candidates in both Navajo and English. But I will be welcoming you only in English today. And that reality is part of my family's story. My mother and her younger siblings were sent away to school as children, and like many families, the experience they had there shaped the decisions that they made later on in life, including my mom's decision to not teach her children Navajo. I don't share that with you as an excuse. I share it because it's a daily reminder for me that policies are not abstract. They are decisions made by people in positions of power that shape our families, our communities, our culture, and also opportunity for generations. The same is true for Navajo economic policies. For decades, much of our economic thinking has focused on large industries, outside investment. Yet every strong economy is also built by our own relatives, creating businesses, solving problems, employing their family members, their neighbors, and keeping dollars circulating within our own communities. A strong economy does not happen by accident. It requires leaders and entrepreneurs who are both willing and able to take risks. It requires infrastructure that connects communities. It requires access to capital or money. It requires local leadership. And it requires a government that builds solutions and removes barriers. So as we gather for this forum, I hope that we think not only about the challenges facing the Navajo Nation today, right now, but also about the future that we're building for the next generation. What decisions are we making now? What opportunities are we creating? And what will our children and our grandchildren inherit because of those choices and the decisions that we've made? Tonight, you'll hear from the candidates, but they will also hear from you. We're asking each of you to participate in live polling because the future of our Navajo economy shouldn't be shaped just by the folks on this stage, but the people who live it every single day. So for those of you joining us from Shiprock, from Tuba City, listening on KTNN, or logging into the live stream, I invite you all to shape tonight's discussion. My hope is that our conversation moves beyond campaign promises and towards a shared vision of what it will take to build an economy where more Navajo businesses can thrive, more families can build wealth, and our young people choose to stay, return, and invest in our nation. So ahiaha for joining us. Thank you to all the candidates for being here, and thank you all for being here, for being part of this conversation. Before I introduce you to tonight's moderator, I just want to point out that if you haven't picked up one of these magazines already, please do. They're free, and you can catch one on your way out. And I mentioned that poll. You all should have a little thing on your seats with instructions on the back of how to participate in the poll. Once you do, you'll be asked questions that will shape the questions that we ask tonight. For example, the first question in the poll is, what community did you come here from? And here's what people have been saying. It looks like wheat fields. We have a lot of representation from wheat fields here today, and also in Shiprock, Tuba City, everyone that's participating in the poll. All right, let's begin with an introduction to tonight's moderator, an inspirational Navajo business owner I had the pleasure of meeting several years ago. Jerry Hungeva is a dynamic Navajo media professional. She's a cultural advocate, and she's an entrepreneur. Originally from Black Mesa, she's the founder of Native Moto Tours, a unique land-conscious tourism business, and she serves on the board for the Navajo Code Talkers Museum. If you're listening tonight and you recognize her voice, that's because she is also C-3PO in the Navajo language dub of Star Wars, and is also a recipient of the Women in American History Award. She brings a powerful blend of business acumen and cultural insight to guide tonight's discussion. So thank you for being here, Jerry, and please help me welcome her to the stage.
Jerry Hungeva in Shia. Diné, Tachi in Shlon, Sanjakin, Bashashin, Kinchachini Dashache, Bipatwani Dashanella. I used to ain't just a Jimba that Nasha. And the Shanella Ekoto Topato, Little Colorado River will get there. That's the Bekashinakai. Did Shiaho. Shachne a Naki. Shawe Eko Trasata. Ado Shahastin a Mike Camariolia. Honey Stanton. A US Navy veteran. Ado Kodo Kitando I see Shiaho a conde to the Jimba the Eto Nanshkad there. Shimasan Eshiaho Shinalas Shinalas teen Equa Nalgeto the Bedobe Gashito think the Naja Hikik et Lehota E Condia Kanashwan there. So a little bit about myself. As Heather introduced me, I also announced my 4 clans. And all of you listening, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is very exciting. Twin Arrows, 12 and a half years. Casino a lot of the employees here definitely excited to come back and see all of you. So, ade balakanak etche at isoyakwa. Introduction. Tonight's discussion is focused on the Navajo economy, jobs, growing Navajo-owned businesses, infrastructure, capital access, and actively working towards long-term economic digital sovereignty. How do we build an economy where more Navajo dollars, more Navajo businesses, and more Navajo opportunities stay on the Navajo Nation or serve the Navajo people? Voters are not interested in vision, but also implementation. Each candidate will be asked specific examples, priorities, and accountable measures. We have prepared 16 questions for tonight's forum, but due to the time we have available, not every candidate will respond to each question. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. We have a timer right here in front of us. And I'll make sure each candidate gets an equal number of questions. Finally, I'll invite each candidate to give a close 60-second remark in response to the question. If one thing Navajo entrepreneurs will be able to count on from your administration is, and you'll answer that question. Most of tonight's questions will be framed by you, the audience, and your responses to key questions about the Navajo economy. The candidates will not just be sharing their platform and ideas, but responding to your concerns. Since we have a limited time, and many of you have seen the candidates in the forums throughout the reservation tonight, I'll be reading brief introductions to each of the candidates. So, to the right of me, we'll start here. Mr. Frank Dayish. Mr. Frank Dayish is a former Navajo Nation Vice President from Chilchata. He brings decades of leadership experience in government, business, healthcare, housing, and corporate sectors, including work with NASA, BHP. Dayish has served as CEO of 2 major Navajo organizations and has professional experience beyond the Navajo Nation. His campaign emphasizes on experienced leadership, stability, and addressing the current challenges facing the Navajo government. Right next to Dayish, we have Mr. Buu Nygren. Buu Nygren is from Red Mesa and is the current president of the Navajo Nation. He was president at the age of 35, making him the nation's youngest elected president. Raised by a single mother, he graduated as valedictorian from Red Mesa High School. Nygren earned construction management and an MBA degree from ASU, Arizona State University, and a doctorate from University of Southern California. Before taking office, he served as Chief Commercial Officer at NECA. His administration has focused on roads, utilities, housing, and local economic development. Next, we have Mr. Alexander Chambers. Alexander Chambers is a businessman, former correctional officer, consultant, and owner of Chambers Steakhouse from Farmington, New Mexico. He has worked in private businesses, economic development, community leadership across the Navajo Nation and surrounding region. Chambers campaigns on emphasizing economic sovereignty, infrastructure, job creation, government accountability, and support for Navajo-owned businesses. He also seeks to improve access to housing, water, and energy while creating long-term economic opportunity for future generations. Next, we have Andrew Curley. Mr. Andrew Curley is Diné professor at University of Arizona and presidential candidate from Hauk. His academic work examines indigenous economies, energy, land, water, infrastructure, and development. Curley's campaign focuses on sustainability development, protecting Navajo lands and natural resources, and improving the effectiveness of Navajo Nation executive branch. Next, we have Miss Crystalline Curley. Crystalline Curley is Chenjikina, born for Twahat Laney with Kia Ani and Zilthat Kia Ani grandparents. Raised in Fish Point with the Cottonwood chapter, she is fluent both in Navajo and English. Curley earned 2 bachelor degrees from ASU and Master of Public Administration from University of New Mexico. Elected Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council in 2023, she has worked on water rights, uranium contamination, elder services, youth engagement, and voting rights. Okay, next we have Tom Chi. Just show. The best up into Kesiki Kwa Shay Cotton Days. Introduce yourself.
Nesta Hollande kohona sonigi shidi tam chi da shijne has kan hat zohon so class she was shindo na khidne da shi do toy klini da shinanda she kated za shlate dat do dan jonie hajan jono chodo le sida budishni ho she kada had no other they're married, they're all college graduates, they have their own homes, they have their own profession, their careers, as well as my 2 daughters that I have raised that are very graduates, therapists, all the work they do today. And so with that in mind, I'm also born and raised just down the road in a sheep camp. So you are all trespassing in my definition right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. And my professional work has been a 25-year coach and a high school teacher. I have been involved with the 23rd Council as a member of the Budget and Finance Committee member. I'm also a member of the Investment Committee for the Navajo Nation that we looked over. I don't look like much when I wear my cowboy hat, but I have looked after your billions of dollars for 4 years, and I appreciate that opportunity. And I thank you again for your wonderful appearance with us today. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Tom Chi. Mr. Arvin Trujillo, right here to the left of me. Arvin Trujillo was born in Farmington, resides in Fruitland, New Mexico. He has worked as an engineer and senior manager for major mining companies and state utility. Trujillo served as the CEO of the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, Four Corners Economic Development. He has led the Navajo Division of Natural Resources from 1999 to 2010. Trujillo studied biochemistry at Oral Roberts University and mineral processing at Pennsylvania State University. Okay, next we have Miss Emily Elson. Emily Elson was raised in Manuelito, New Mexico. She is Navajo Diné and born for Halsoy Diné. Ellison serves as Executive Director of Battered Families Services, where she helps strengthen the organization's finances and accountability while supporting people fleeing violence. She holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and previously worked as a job development officer for the University of New Mexico. Ellison has served on a community school board and with the Peace Corps in China, where she received an award for outstanding contributions to peace. You can clap. Next, we have Mr. Myron Leiser. Myron Leiser is a former vice president of the Navajo Nation from St. Michael's. He is Nathana Comanche, born for Tohane with a Comanche paternal grandparents and Usche grandparents on his paternal side. Lizer entered the presidential race based on his experience and concern about the Navajo Nation's current political climate. His values-based campaign emphasizes economic sovereignty and visionary leadership as priorities for strengthening the Navajo Nation and creating greater opportunities for his people. You're welcome to clap for him as well. Next, we have Mr. Justin Jones. Justin Jones is born for Tanesratni with Kintlachitni and Ashihe grandparents. Raised in Rock Point, Arizona, he values Navajo culture and community leadership. Jones served in the United States Marine Corps before becoming an attorney. His military service, legal expert, and political worksheet is his presidential platform, which focuses on systematic government accountability, structural transparency, and comprehensive legal reform to better serve the Navajo people. Next, we have Miss Debbie Nez Manuel. Debbie Nez Manuel is a Diné leader from Clagato, Arizona. She holds a Master of Social Work from Arizona State University and a Bachelor of Social Work from NAU Northern Arizona University. She brings more than 2 decades of experience in tribal government, community leadership, education, youth development, and civic engagement. In partnerships with youth, she co-founded Morning Star Leaders, a youth leadership initiative. Appointed to the Arizona Governor's Task Force in 2019 and 2021, she helped establish Arizona's first Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Study Committee and has represented Indigenous communities in state and national leadership roles. Public information for these candidates, you'll find all of this online too, by the way. You can clap for her. Let's see. Dr. Jordan Begay is next. Dr. Jordan Begay is a citizen of Navajo Nation from Tuonelia, Arizona. He is of the Deer Spring Bitterwater clan of Rat Springs, Wildcat Peak, and born for the Towering House clan of Tulani Lake. His education and professional credentials span health sciences, healthcare, administration, health education, and public health. Next, we have Donovan Begay, is that correct? Donovan Begay is the Navajo Nation presidential candidate from Hofner chapter and United States Marine Corps veteran. After leaving military service, he attended college using the GI Bill. His campaign has emphasized helping veterans transition over to civilian life, understanding and accessing their benefits, and also obtaining stable housing and receiving appropriate health care and support services. So let's do a round of applause for all of the candidates. Okay, well, if you haven't had a chance, make sure you're doing the polls online. There are little QR codes on the seat of where you're sitting. Cell phones, tablet, there's a QR code, and you can actually be interactive with a lot of the questions that are coming through. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to select a few candidates to answer each question. I will ask questions in both English and Navajo. So I'm going to start to the right here with Mr. Daesh. Question number 1. Question number 1. Before we talk about solutions, let's establish what success actually looks like. Aside from registering business and job creation on Navajo, what is a measurable goal your administration will set for increasing Navajo-owned businesses over the years? And how will you track that? Ako the neck etche, Dina the kitty bahashnet dole. Di qua the nebekaya, the annashiki, Ado qua the nebet manat ani, sin ligo, na the kitty aya, ish hate aqua and banan nishotonan dal nashiki, qua di the ne ape nan nishosh washo, igi lago, hat abakanan lodo. Ado hate out though, nal tos because in the lojo, Jano Dolny.
The gross national product, Bikeho nan state, East Latin Kayahot, Adon, the not Anish chin, but has undergo what Yahabe had at Eho. Here Yahan hit then. Pajahos, Dojahot, Zogi, Yahae, Behadatet Eho. $2.8 million Apache County. That's their gross national product. In the Hanihiki, Adenta Hanihiki, do Enad Kanta Hagido, Nad Yahayanas, Tahagi, Equa, Yahaepe, Yahao Kao, and Zaho. Nana, Navajo County, Yaha 3.7 billion. According hit the nanny, Lenny, now Kayahatahu Stogi, Atahu Zogi, which a host, Dojaho Zogi, it's a Zaho, Yahai Aja, face of wheel. But our Yahan is just this street. A quaggy, Yahai Ahano, APC, start all this. I don't need to eat all this. I don't need the not Ahas, Anjado, Yahai. Comprehensive economic development strategy. There's no nonsense. Yahai Tadeta, Asa Nahaka, Yahai Hade, Ito Ebikaho, oh God, a Yahai Nilkenas, Neto, Shih, Sadatish, Nishigabich, what I don't need. Yahai Hosa, and Nash, Yahai Bay cut on this. I don't want to get us, Shigido, but Taho, Jisho, Abba was under the Northward Jisho.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Buu Nygren, you also have quite timers. I thought by son. You is Kisiki had done us all when you're talking. So Mr. Buu Nygren is next. Would you like me to repeat the question? You got it? Okay.
Yate, Nini, the Aro, Nahiso, Taniron, Nistina, Kidisharo, Hatasu, Gizgi, Dole, to Ara, Yesakuro, the Nebenant Ade, where he all up in the Hata, where Nide, Kidigi, Ne hit Obanson case where Naniste Yot, Yetigin, Nana, Hegohito, Nan Niste, Jackie, Begin, eat, Lestoba, Hot Yard, and then Shehoban's case, a stash that Nezat, the Nova, the Neban Nash, Washington, do where not the Shinigi, Hatati Lagonan, Hotel, Yado, the Yot, Yeto, Din Nana, Hegoban's case, Junleta Ilga, Lena, Kina, Hayada, Stad, Mid, Stahonela, Tardanes, that the Nova Honela, not Nish. I don't give you hotel, yes, at Setos, at Odo, the Obernan, the Shillis, Energy, such like the meal, which hotel, yes, I start cutting the meal, which hotel, Yago, Yat, Eho, ye, the Obernan, the Yos, Yerik Ashon, Hospital, but in the whole Hoto, at the Ilia, Arab, Nasko, Nahate, Shizge, late Kaya, the Hatahat Zogi, the Dina, Haja, you the neck Kaya, the Hatahat Zogi, but your hotel, Ya, Ashon, Bananish, Hatabi, so the Ahonana, Odo, they took at Bahazin and let the never national Kido, the Kaya, that the Badahone, Zaro, that the Kaya, non-nesta, Hota, the Ehoto, Ado, the Hota, and the Shigan, Juno, knock out of the net, a pace of Hota, the Ehoto, the Ehoto.
Okay, next we have Mr. Alexander Chambers. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Is it the same question? Or?
Yes.
Yeah,
same.
no, you don't. Business is about one thing and one thing only, solving problems. Number one, that's what it's about. All we need to do is invite business owners, private sector, private businesses, Navajo entrepreneurs to the Navajo Nation to do service businesses. That is how we're going to do it. Bring these guys back and give them an opportunity. Right now, we're not giving these Navajo businesses an opportunity. I say that from experience. As a Navajo business owner, there are prejudiceness within our Navajo business community. Not just with the Navajo business community, but it's also within economic development and all these nonprofit organizations. They exist. It is there. It is real. We need to address this part of it in order to fix that. If we fix that issue, and then we can address every other issue across the board. How would we measure it? Data. We don't even measure how many people at the flea market are selling products and services. You know, data is power. So when we begin to see and capture that data, we can get a glimpse of what our Navajo economy looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andrew Curley. Same question. I'm going to quickly say the question in English real quick so the audience can remember what the question was. Before we talk about solutions, let's establish what success actually looks like. Aside from registering business and job creation on Navajo, what is the one measurable goal your administration would set for increasing Navajo-owned business for the next 4 years, and how would you track the process?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I've had too much coffee. Let's see if I can get through this. So, I have experience actually working on the research end of this, working at the Diné Policy Institute, working as a researcher. As Alexander Chambers was saying, we need data, we need survey data. We need to understand what kind of business is being there. First and foremost, I would go to the Business Regulatory Office and identify how many new businesses have been opened that year, Navajo-owned businesses. That's an easy, measurable thing to track. So that answers the first part of the question. Go to the Business Regulatory Office, make sure that they're giving us reports on new businesses owned by Diné people, by Diné entrepreneurs. We want to know a couple things about them. We want to know where they are located, what type of businesses, how many employees do they have, if any. Those are the kind of data that help us understand the economic impact of small-scale entrepreneur, of these businesses as they're developing. So that's really key, is to get survey data and to get that started. Next, I want to get us to have a more robust survey of business activity throughout the Navajo Nation. We need how many people are employed in the tribal sector, meaning working for government, how many people are working for the schools, how many people are working for other kinds of public institutions. That's the kind of stuff we need to measure. And finally, as was just said, we need to know something about the impact of the informal economy. That is very important. So many people make their livelihoods on that. Thank you.
Next we have Miss Crystalline Curley. Same question.
I think one way to support our Navajo businesses is actually to walk the talk. So supporting my Navajo women seamstresses out there across the Navajo Nation, that how would you measure success? The Navajo Nation labor statistics that then we don't have any type of tracking. We don't know how much. We have different resources that say what our unemployment rates are. They all differ. Same as myself, we worked at the Diné Policy Institute. So you do need a president. I am that president that has that knowledge already. How will you relay that report back to the Navajo people? One way to do it is through the State of the Nation addressed by the President. The Council report is how many Navajo Nation businesses were created. Those are some measurable goals that we need to do. And there's also, we need that dashboard to see how many of our Navajo businesses are even getting contracts. Not just our friends that are getting contracts. We need to prioritize many of our priority one businesses. How many of those are being tracked and how many of those are actually being accomplished?
Thank you. Mr. Tom Chi Nisha Hate Albin Banahai Adolel.
Thank you again. There's a huge difference between living on land as opposed to land that you own, ownership of land. We're talking about private property, private businesses and so forth. Then we live on a trust land. All we do is live on a piece of land. We don't have access to equity. We can't borrow money against the homes, the sheep, whatever there is out there. The only thing we get is a 75-year, 1-acre lease. You can't borrow money against that, and you hope to live beyond 75 so you can renew your living space. That is the difference. And how do we juggle those two pieces of land? Eight at the Hakaya, Aho Hadlong, what Aho Beho, peso benachikatot, Aho peso, the Bahilido, Elini benach, Yahweh, Hodlodo, Hoche, or grazing permitted, so society, Ado Biga, Ado home site, Liseta, Sosko, Hagam benach. Ishto kilo peso da yashto da sa pahaten eben na ebes at what as ahot asi khota til nis khat no bilgana khes any khojo edit hibini na edo nikhich hotel tota eben na ko jin hal cheno del nego the neda sho de sneko yana kheto des akha.
Thank you. Okay, for all the candidates sitting to the left side of me, we're going to go to question number 2. Question number 2, what would keep more of your spending on the Navajo Nation? That's the subject. More than a decade ago, the Navajo Division of Economic Development estimated that approximately 65 cents of every dollar earned on the Navajo Nation was spent off the Navajo Nation. While the exact figure probably changed today, it highlights our changes with economic leakage. Many Navajo families spend money off the Navajo Nation simply because they can't find the goods or services they need close to home. What would your administration do to keep more of those dollars circulating within the Navajo economy?
na liepahogan ataten edadat in the zat edadat yota ille hat ishin hit the nature de yosh initi kwa hist a na da ta washta hat ishin de yilnigi le kesande de yilni edadat trotkhada edadat in anjojde the peso ya hinde jo edo ne bekeyata ya hashit yan na kwa ne benat ani sinli do kwa beshinta den nishigi di peso gi akwa den ne bekeya sa bandil nish e baj hadi al. Go ahead, Mr. Arvin Trujillo. You have 90 seconds.
Oh, go ahead, Jerry. Looking at how we can keep dollars, the way most communities do that is through home ownership, mortgaging, going into the bank. From that aspect, also businesses have mortgages from which they can obtain working capital to develop their businesses. We have neither because of our trust land responsibilities. So we've got to look at how we can look at grant development and loans or to develop that working capital. Really, to keep leakage on, we've got to begin to see how we can bring small businesses onto the reservation. How we can look at utilizing new grant money to start looking at home building to allow that money to circulate within the nation. It's going to be baby steps to begin with. How do we begin to teach our entrepreneurs and businessmen how to move in that direction, how to develop those applications, how to get that working capital? From there, we can then begin to look at that business development at the local level. Many of you go because you have the border towns have those services. Those businesses will look at this area if we have the dollars available.
Again, that comes to job creation. We've got to look at how we can generate jobs on the nation. That way, those businesses will see that if we stay here, we can make a profit because you have money. At Diné, they're going to go somewhere where they can. You've seen it. We've tried to legislate the location of businesses around the nation. It stays there for 5 years and they're boarded up. Why? They can't make a profit. Simple capitalism. So again, looking at that aspect, looking at mortgage development, how do we begin to generate dollars that begins to circulate in the community and not have you take it to the border towns? Because again, it's a simple aspect of looking at it from that money generation aspect and bringing that wealth back home. Okay.
Next, we have Miss Emily Ellison.
Well, first off, I would not write a $24 million check to a Bilagana. I would much rather write $200,000 checks to Navajo businesses. And I'd also leave the business to the business people and not the government. But how can we spend our money when our investments are not protected? Which means we need good law enforcement, we need a good judicial branch. We don't have that. Our Attorney General is over there being a DJ. Our judicial system has become a joke. So let's put some integrity back into that. Let's get some of these monies out of here. Let's get the heartbeat of the Navajo Nation going again. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Myron Lizer.
Who is a businessman, so thank you for that plug. And you're right, the heartbeat of the Navajo Nation, I believe, and that statement isn't totally true about all goods and services that we can't find. We do find goods and services on the Navajo Nation. And so as your next president, the Buy Navajo, Buy Local campaign can get restarted again. Because our early answer is found in our daily buying habits. Stay home, stay local, support known Navajo businesses, reputable Navajo businesses, which would stand up our economy initially right now from the get-go. And then additionally, we'll start seeking outside capital, enticing outside businesses to invest in the Navajo Nation. Big box stores that you're so crying about, we need to bring those down and start having those discussions, right? But first things first, buying Navajo, buying local will help us launch ourselves into where we need to be and start profiting. Change your daily buying habits, stay local, stay local. Also, I think some low-hanging fruit is in the FET, the fuel excise tax. There's legislation being considered right now to get away with dual taxation. Let's do away with dual taxation because Navajo Nation is getting their own, right? 16, 18% fuel excise tax, and the state is wanting theirs. Well, if we get dual taxation away, our people can start paying less for gas on our own reservation.
Next, we have Mr. Justin Jones.
So think about it. When we go to the store, why do we go to Gallup? Why do we go to Farmington? Why do we go to Flagstaff? Most of the time, we would rather have a small convenience store nearby. e kwege e khao nende asel ende da attenno da konski honda do adosat na hitone. I think the concept of that, of local mom and pop shops, that's what we need to prioritize, because the local mom and pop shops are the backbone of the economy here. That keeps the money flowing around here. Now, what prevents us from doing that? What prevents us from doing there are two evils to small businesses. Number one are taxes. The Navajo Nation tax structure for businesses needs to be revamped entirely. Not to be pro-business. Number two is going to have to be regulations that are in place right now. Everything from incorporating a business all the way down to the business site leasing. If we can cut down the time and the red tape on the business site leasing, all of that.
Yat Shastwi Shazani Shalchin, Debines Manual Ayensia, Sanjikin Enchle, Tetna Habitni Bashin, Titna Jenny Dashache, Trapahanta Shanale, Clay Twade Nasha. I'm here this evening with my husband and my volunteers outside. Thank you to our veterans, to our Gold and Blue Star families, Aikiha and Chicago. How I see us keeping the dollar within the nation is first, when do we get an opportunity to invest in ourselves? We don't. I don't know of anything on the nation where I can invest in it in myself. I would if I could. So why don't we have co-ops, housing co-ops, where we get to invest in that if we want to help an elder, if we want to help a veteran, if we want to do something because we have the resources to do it, why not? If we can do that for food and farming, that would really make sense, so we don't have to get all our food in Gallup. And the same way with utilities. Right now we have a monopoly on NTUA. They get all the money. The CEO probably has a $300,000 salary and lives somewhere across the country. And we pay for all that. Why are we not doing that for ourselves? We need to keep money with home builders, trade services, welders, electricians, plumbers, grocery stores, convenience stores, clothing stores, automotive stores, and barber shops. Everybody needs to trim their hair. Why are we not paying our own to do that? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Dr. Jordan Bigay.
Oh, yate the ambient edos Diné Arnold say Dr. Jordan Bigay in this Ado people 20 in a circuit ani buses chin Diné touching it that's say Ado Tatnastani Dasinala. Twin Helinte I see Nasha and I see Nasset on the A had to shake Sanes to the Bajanin de AS chained could I the Nansan Ado Yat any day sneed the Nepanat on the A buyers well Ado Nahastagona AS at that. So to the question, if elected as the next Navajo Nation president, I would ensure that we create a Navajo economic dashboard. The dashboard will look at the number of new businesses who register, who become licensed, information about in regards to the revenue that's being generated. These small businesses, we want them to be able to start generating revenue. Hala Although the next thing is the financing. One of the key things in my administration would be working through the Office of the Controller and working with the United States Treasury on designating the Navajo Nation to have its own CDFI. That way we're able to invest in our own people to build houses, our own people to go to this bank that's going to be the CDFI of the Navajo Nation to be able to help the small businesses. That way they don't have to go into mainstream society and try to get large debt with high finances. Thank you.
Next, we have Donovan Bigay.
Yade, Donna Begay. I'm running for this position here because I think I can help out the Navajo Nation with a lot of their issues. One of the things that I ran on is building up the economy. And I used to be the fair director for Shiprock Fair. I was the first ever fair director that they had before it became a Shiprock Fair into Northern Navajo Nation Fair. And so I know a lot of the inner workings. I was only there very temporarily, only a few months when Ben Shelley came down and took over the fair because there was a lot of inner fighting over the funds. One thing is that the carnival would come in and they would pay Northern Navajo Nation Fair Board $150,000 right up front, plus 50% of all the tickets. And then they would have about 200 floats in a parade. They would charge $200 a piece. That was like about $40,000. And then they'll turn around and they'll do the same with the fair market, the arts and craft fair market area. So there's a lot of things that can be done there. The thing about it is that the fair board needs to share in the revenues with the rest of the people so that we can fix up the fairgrounds. So that's one thing that really needs to be done with the fairs. It needs to be cleaned up so tourism can come in and people who can afford $10,000, $5,000 pieces can come in and help our economy. Yeah, Allah.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to go over back to the right of me here, and we're going to do question number 3 for the first 2 people, so we can get through a lot of these questions. Question number 3, what measure best reflects whether a tribal enterprise is benefiting from the Navajo economy? That naturally raises another question. Who should drive economic growth? Government enterprises, private businesses, or both? Let's talk about how tribal enterprises, government procurement, and Navajo-owned businesses work together to keep more wealth here. There has been interesting conversation about whether tribal enterprises hurt more than help our economy by competing versus collaborating. We asked the audience, and we'll ask the candidates now, what would success look like for a tribal enterprise, and how would you gauge tribal enterprise success? A tribal enterprise, like Navajo Gaming Enterprise, Auto Navajo Hospitality Enterprise, NAPI, Navajo Agricultural Product Industry. So, tribal enterprise in Chicago, Beso, Inigi Quad Nambe, Hope Kayaki. Auto aided dads, Navajo owned business, Heshi Asaho, non Nishio, Wafiki, Halate out. Ilkilnad nisto ako e peso la il on no seto ya e na ite kidiki e she hit ba kunzindo bishindan nisto le
she ya celede da sta wan spahana se nesigi aje yashna nis ishla daita ako e ya e di naka nenigi to jo e ya e thonde laws Nana Kochito NTUA Yaha Peshin de laws, it how the Yahadish. Dodaitan Wishla, a Koyaha Quay Ebis now. I don't know that Agidos that is Nisa Yahid Abazano, Yahid Agid at Kane that is Jot Yahai enterprise that would get Ibsen that is Nishiko. So that they that Nahas Hanegi a Arab Nishito Yahai Besakon Nisako. I don't know Nana. A subject is a tie, a yaha beshiti, the contracting officer in snow, a yahadash and nachpe. Ajato a yahabi tahui, a co aj based upon that, Zoyo Bahonits and Nache, it was Nash Jay and a yahai quetahui. I don't the panahas, Anido can bandasi, I don't that tapati, what even now a quenta, Nishiki 89, in Nadyanas, Tahagi, a coy yaha chotaos on a pace of the in Nasford needs. Joe Eya Akisna and Nisho, Akadi Jaho, Joe Yahinat, Ahagiben, this
And next we have Mr. Buu Nygren with the same question.
Jo here when I kid hate all le na nistan sag but has agodo asked is sort of as I begin the deed nation and give here sin jono but in the situation of answers case the hone na hesi thani den jono do ati and then le to ya ishahada kana tatel khasne na kides ne nothing the meal sa do kana tatel khas na nation lenegi ashlat asa the meal of ashlat ne nothing the ne nation he hone ya ikhegon jono but in the season stock edabdino anta ilga ko de hode dishid ahot eron kidne de nisto na nishna hotal ne to na the nedan lord na nishna hotal ya hot oshi eta ilgan so ban case out of the never care of a car the quick ship for the house so needed the hode need I didn't need ya yana da he hodo sato peso nada neto arodo enal thado hadan lede ya hinte he hodo e hodo eta ilya di need on e hodo kushi the mil sa yane nat nda signal.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Alexander Chambers with the same question.
I think the facts is very clear. The evidence is very clear that the Navajo Nation has a pattern of failure. Failure after failure after failure with Navajo economy and businesses. That is a fact that you can't argue with that. We got Navajo business owners that bid for contracts that never get a chance. You know, you got these bigger companies that get awarded. New contractors, roofers, electricians, plumbers, builders. They all get denied just because they're a new company. They don't get looked at with the brains of operation behind them. Just because they are a new company doesn't mean they don't know what the hell they are doing. You got to give them a chance to build these buildings. Give them a chance to build your roofs. Give them a chance to build your homes. Give them a chance to build your infrastructure. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. You want a real economy? You're going to have to invite private businesses. Period. That is the only damn way you are going to get this economy going. That is a fact. You want to stop leaking money off the Navajo Nation? Start there.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We're going to move on to question number 4. Question number 4. What keeps our community members from growing their business ideas? For this question, we're going to turn to the audience again for input. Navajo business owners, artisans, vendors, and nonprofit leaders consistently report barriers that are largely outside their control, including accessing business site leases, financial challenges, infrastructure gaps, navigating multiple layers of regulation. These barriers make starting and growing a company, a business, very difficult. On the Navajo Nation, significantly more difficult than in surrounding communities. Tonight's audience has identified, you'll see it on the screen here, they've identified the biggest systematic barriers to entrepreneurship on the Navajo Nation. The question is, what specific actions would your administration take to remove business barriers?
A Navajo business will ish hate dikwa najano no selto ish ekwa zaat ene the nebikeya hishintal nisho hashit ebakha dilwal What specific action would your administration do to remove these business barriers? Paperwork that's so and so is not here, call back. How would you help the Navajo business owners?
Yeah, there are a number of things that we have identified, my team that's working on this campaign, to thinking about making it easier to start a small business in the Navajo Nation. We have identified, and it's come up over and over again, as regulation as being one of them. One thing that my platform prioritizes with land reform is thinking about zoning, and we need to have business site zoning, commercial zoning, so you as business owners and you as entrepreneurs don't have to do that work. The Navajo Nation has done it for you. And we need to link that to physical infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage. Those are key ingredients that we need on the Navajo Nation. You find them in the border towns, and that's lacking right now. And that often you, as an entrepreneur, have to do yourself. Second, and what is identified in the pie chart here, is capital, access to money. That is key. The people here have talked about it, they've spoken, and in my platform, what I am saying is we want to move towards grants, not loans, meaning you don't have to pay that back. We want to give you the capital, seed grants to get you started. This is key because when you have loan repayments, that's yet another obligation on top of trying to succeed as a business. We succeed as a nation when small business succeeds as a nation. We don't need to be recapping that money. We want you to succeed so you're employing people, so you're dealing with the unemployment issues on the Navajo Nation. When small business hires people, that's a net benefit for the Navajo Nation, and we have to think about that in our economic indicators.
Okay, next we have Miss Crystalline Curley.
All right, so I'm going to break it down in actual steps, solutions. So first and foremost, we do need a reliable and knowledgeable executive director in Navajo Nation economic development. Someone that will prioritize customer service. We need to provide a tracking system for our new business owners, entrepreneurs, a step-by-step, not just a paper that says you have to bring all of this in and there's no technical assistant to help you get those documents. That's the first and foremost, in having that support. So once you get your business started, my administration is going to prioritize giving you a waiver of taxes for your business taxes, at least 3 to 5 years. So then you build your own capital, you build your own revenues. But we have to give that support of you getting started in the first few years. And also, infrastructure, broadband. We need to start looking at building and supporting website development for our entrepreneurs, artisans. If you look at the studies, 99% of our jobs and vacancy are on site, and only less than 1% are online businesses. To build that new workforce that is missing, remember that's only 1%. And also just expediting a lot of the land processes to having a task force.
Okay, Mr. Tom Chi, same question.
I'm reminded about our grandparents. They were the true entrepreneur. They had grazing area. They had sheep. They took the wool, they carded, spin it, and they made it into a rug. And then they sold their product all the way, all the consistent needs that were there to make them entrepreneurs. It's when we let politicians, policymakers that come in and say to you, you can only have 15 head on your permit. You can only do this. Right now, we're exactly doing that to our cattlemen. We're pressuring them to sell their cattle before they're ready to sell. They're underweight by 200 to 300 pounds, and the buyers are just waiting on I-40, Kirtland, wanting to buy those underweight cattle. If Navajo Nation would have access, enable these producers to say, we are by grazing regulations making you sell your cattle before their time, before they're ripe. We give you a supplement out of the drought fund, ARF funds to pay up the differences if we work together. Thank you.
Next, we're going to go to question number 5, starting with Mr. Arvin Trujillo. Question number 5, which type of support would have the biggest impact on your household? A business you run or one that you hope to start? Many Navajo business owners talk about the need for more business financing. For many entrepreneurs, the real barriers come much earlier. Limited collateral, thin credit histories, a lack of financial records and business documents, and a few resources to help navigate the path to become investment ready. Financing is often the outcome of overcoming these barriers, not the starting point. Tonight, the audience has identified some of the items here on the screen as a type of the support that could make a difference. What role should the Navajo Nation play in helping entrepreneurs become investment ready and improving access to capital? Akoti the nek achinai the kitiki e yakwa the nek bikayaki na nishidal yet do peso inigi ado ashe kwa bes kwa ashe kwa nash nishota nastilo dit au e deshkilti shana haniko da ninigi apete yosh waliki jonan apesa pa niliki le bank the jiraho e kwa peso shato nilajin zo inde e hat e yakwa anti ashot niya jo mortgage then hawan a capital collateral ish a hate dit nebikayaki hot beso shato nishikato lwal nizinko hat e bakati lwal e bech hoti ash.
Looking at the support, really it comes down to education and training, helping our entrepreneurs navigate that aspect of gaining capital. And as they gain that training and as they gain that support, they become more confident as a business owner. They understand the ins and outs of actually how to run a business. I've seen it. The security operations at Navajo Mine was supported by the West organization. We need to get our economic development folks to get out of the compliance aspect and really begin to support our businesses. West supported the young Navajo lady who now runs that business. They taught her how to do the financing, how to build a business plan, how to work the application so she's ready to present to the bank, how to then advocate for her business, how to bring employees in, how to get them paid, how to look at taxes. All of that came from West. And Navajo Mine supported her in moving in that direction, our enterprise. That's what their businesses need. She is now a successful businesswoman running the security operations at Navajo Mine, and she's expanding her business. So again, that's what we need, is that support, that education, and allow our business people to learn and then to develop, gain confidence, and move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arvin Trujillo. Next, we have Emily Ellison with the same question.
The Navajo Nation government is in no position to tell us how to handle our money. Once they learn to stop reverting all those millions of federal free funds, then you can direct us how to do that. The Navajo Business Opportunity Act needs to be written in a way that it meets our current business capacity. And we're still developing. We're a young nation, we're a young people, and we're easily led astray. That's why corruption is so big. We talk about investing with our youth because that's where it's going to start. We need to make it accessible to them. We need to help them form groups. We need to help them run organizations. So that's a mechanism. Updating our computing system, connecting it to our CIB, so we're not all checking our credit rates, right? Who's got 800 credit rating in here? Who's got 250? Something as simple as that, make it accessible. I don't think it should be free. If you just waste the money, you probably need to pick up some trash. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Myron Lizer, same question.
I thought I was getting the next question. I was already lining that up. What role will the Navajo Nation play in helping entrepreneurs become investment ready? Well, we need the Navajo Nation to become ready, willing, and able to invest. We got to have the want to. We got to have people that are passionate about helping our business owners and aspiring business owners actually take that next step. I used to teach a class called Financial Literacy and Indianpreneurship over the Navajo Nation, 2010 to 12. Everybody wants to be in a business. Everybody does. But guess what? Not everybody has the fortitude. So we have to find a way to weed out those aspiring business owners and really get to the meat and potatoes of who can really get into business. I have Cowboy Iron Gym. Anybody know Cowboy Iron Gym? They came to me and they asked Vice President Nygren, when I was Vice President, says, how can we get into business? My daughter wants to open a gym. I thought, wow, we got to help her open a gym. I sent her to a very passionate person who helped walk her through the financing package, helped walk her through the business plan. They strengthened it up and got her ready to go to the bank. And guess what? They got a loan. And now they've celebrated their 3rd year anniversary. Cowboy Iron Gym, yes, they're doing very well over there. But that's how you do it. You walk the people through the process. Not everybody has the fortitude to be in business. And I want to recognize the Vice President of the Navajo Nation over here, sitting so pretty, so humble. I used to be a Vice President, and we need to honor our laws.
Okay, next we have Mr. Justin Jones. Get a new question. This is going to be question number 6. Which infrastructure investment on the Navajo Nation would have the greatest economic impact over the next 4 years? Economic development isn't just about attracting outside investment. It's about helping local people build wealth where they live. We asked tonight's audience to rank the most critical economic infrastructure needs on the reservation. If you could fully fund only one in the next 4 years, which would you choose and why? And the categories, and I don't know if you can see it on the side here on the PowerPoint. So the economic development isn't just about attracting outside investment. Di Diné bekeyak peso inigi len zade en khada hakaho kwa peso de yinil hada shi tohanan den khada hakaho e kwa nkidne ai ta khonda nishigi ish het au bakadi lo peso na selo etili e kwa di Washington do the sabraho zande ya economic infrastructure de infrastructure ainly a teen it leisure about a teen edada the content khobal ya il edada the shantin bedit e a lie on not e artist ish e hat au a konda bakha deal was de kwa the nebanat ani sin legal.
To me, today, we have roads, yes. We have electricity, yes. We have all of these, and we've had them for a long time. But one of the most neglected aspects of any business infrastructure today is our broadband and internet and cell services. I think that investment is going to be very good, not only for the big businesses that are going to be here, or we want them to be here, but for the local mom and pop shops again. There are a lot of our arts and crafts relatives that we have but they need the internet to sell their products. So when either for the internet to sell their products, they have a mail order system, but the internet that we have here is terrible. Number two, the majority of our businesses on the reservation is carried out on cell service. Who in here will probably agree with me that right when you take off from home, you're talking about business and your cell phone, your cell signal drops. This is a real nuisance. So I believe that the internet and the cell service on the Navajo Nation needs to be our next investment in infrastructure.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Debbie Nez Manuel.
When I think about all of the needs around the nation, all of these places that we stopped and talked with people, the number one thing that comes back from the age group in this room, because I see a lot of people who are over 50 years old in here, and then I've seen a lot of veterans, a lot of spouses out there that are older, and every person said, we need a house. We need a home. We need something. Our house is falling apart. There's a veteran sitting in this room who has leaks in his roof. He literally has buckets catching that water. He's in this room. And I think about what his needs are. So mine would be housing. I would make sure we find and we invest in small homes. We invest in renovating rooftops. We invest in making energy efficient windows and renovation. I would make sure we do that. I think when we look at it, we talk a lot about our people who live in urban areas are going to come home. They're going to come home. We want them home. Where are they going to come to? They can't get a home site. They can't get all of the reports and surveys they need. They're struggling. And no matter how many times Mike Colonna says, you can get it in one day. I've tested that. It doesn't work. When I think about that, this is a brain drain, just trying to figure out housing. You can't buy $400,000 homes and say this is okay. That is a waste of money. We need to do better. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Dr. Jordan Begay. New question, question number 7. Infrastructure projects often take years. What could your administration realistically accomplish during one presidential term that entrepreneurs and families would actually notice? The infrastructure anle but kitkate na atinya just never kaya to isklejon jeno atinigi edata koten ya ton kis ya ilani to need to besh up in sekesi na nanigi internet deshna wi-fi deshna Asiat ilkhani nilo didne not ani sinli go heidish yise logic go bandilnish.
Oh yeah, they not the kitty not ani sinli go hashit out the nebekeya bakate business development, economic development bandilnish. So again, as I mentioned earlier, one, I'll go back to my 100 Days Action Plan. The 100 Days Action Plan, it has 14 different initiatives. I was the first presidential candidate to release my 100 Days Action Plan. This 100 Days Action Plan highlights broadband mapping. And broadband mapping, thank you. Broadband mapping is going to help all different areas, whether it's infrastructure, education, healthcare, economic development. They're able to utilize their online presence on a global market to be able to sell their items that they're making in the dagi, and that's revenue generation coming to them. That's a form of broadband expansion to our family members who live in Navajo Mountain, Utah, to our family members who live in Montezuma Creek, away from these bigger towns. If they have access to broadband, they're going to be able to expand their business. And if our hospitals across Navajo had better broadband access, they'd be able to offer telemedicine. That would prevent our Navajo people from going to Phoenix, Albuquerque, Salt Lake. So in order to get to that level, we have to work together and work quickly. I have 7 seconds. So my 100 days action plan has the various reasons. Again, broadband mapping and thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Donovan Begay, same question.
The question here is basically asking what we could do within the presidential term realistically. I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm here to sell you a reality. The reality is our biggest, what we have is our monuments. We have our Navajo Nation monuments, but when you go there, everyone knows that we could use help with a lot of the facilities there. So I think we need to really put money into that so that everyone that comes to visit, has a lot of reason to come back or tell other people, hey, I went to Four Corners, you should go. Not going back and say, hey, we don't have any, we couldn't have, we're able to do this or do that because of the facilities. So I think that fixing up our community areas is going to create a lot more revenue for the people that are out there selling to vendors, the artists, and then invest back into the artists. Someone mentioned a grant, and that's something that I was talking about before, giving a yearly economic grant to all the artists, because they're not only supporting themselves, they're supporting about generations of people within their homes. So that's what I would do within about that time. Long.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to the right to Mr. Frank Daesh with question number 8. Let's talk about how the candidates will manage the opportunities already in front of us. The next administration will inherit many major federal economic development investments and economic impact initiatives, some with deadlines just months after you take office. We have some examples up on the screen. How would your administration build on existing progress for these federal initiatives while ensuring these opportunities are fully funded? Washington lede AI ta shan da anish. Akoti kwa not ani sinli go do kwa besindan nishiki ai ta kote ke na nishnile chuk at not that see ado the never not ani sinli o at discount din nishiki ai ta ilwashe jo ai ta imase ish e hate out the federal initiatives they shniki hot out aids the fully delivered.
I've already done that. I'm going to tell you, ideas are important. Every candidate has an idea, but government isn't built on ideas alone. You see the ideas up here. Ideas inspire, but experience delivers. I've managed organizations with budgets from 80 million to 100 or 250 million dollars. I've managed 1,000 plus employees. I've also done and made difficult decisions on a daily basis. And I'm going to tell you, that's not theory, that's leadership. Experience matters. Experience matters. So the things that you're talking about up here, I opened the Kayenta Service Unit Hospital. I opened it up in 100 days. We were able to mobilize a cadre of professionals that moved the organization forward, and we turned back over to the community there. Now, I'm going to also talk about the Gallup line. We negotiated that. I was the one that rolled it out in Shiprock, New Mexico. We picked up projects that have already been moving forward, and we were able to move them to completion. So that's why I'm telling you, I've done it already. And so all I'm telling you now is we need to move forward, and all of us need to work together so that we can accomplish the goals and have a better nation.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Daesh. Next, we have Mr. Buu Nygren with the same question.
Jubia, Quaba, Nide, Kidigido, hate all and I don't know, machine like in Hero Horses, Anagin, a start hard and is nothing, the meals are where is Onegido, was the special cheap by Yategi, I don't host double how Georgia, sheepy, told you, told you how Georgie, the I don't at Ilgado, the Gatna, Kinana, Hagat, and it never care of a car, Sosterin is nothing, the since a Tago, Honzago, special cheap, they did on it, Yatni, on a day, Zet on the other, whereby Yatki, 5G, Nast 8 or there's been Hono, Astan, the never care of a car, how the aid on the lid or Yai Shahada. LTE, but no Anna Kito, there's not a deation, start has 8 or there's been what Jigo, the never care of a car patients or but what's the Lota Ilga, hot on Hinan, Citilia, Deutsch, the Deutsch, and need a hot on, Jono, Eta Ilga, even a Horobanas, I sit the never care of a car, Chinahui, Nanagito, the hot eggy, Pindasis, Lestoya, Ehota Ilga, Asia hot, Nani, Catolaro, Lake, Ochin, the Rama, but the Nanigi has started. Is nothing that has started is nothing. When they not the never had asked it only Nifchin sick case, no patient, what's the lot I Iliane, not this arm between a Honland, the was the special chi are yet need what they say, what on Hinan, Sidilia, what on other days later.
Thank you, Mr. Buu Nygren. Question number 9. Mr. Alexander Chambers, the decline of coal industry affects many Navajo families and communities. What industries should drive the next generation of economic opportunity? And how would your administration help them grow? Akodi could not the kidigi eya, Josh Kedan a legend, Hakende, e peso be el inde, e agent. The next on the Nesto ye Nanishil o eya, Nzago, Holjish, a conde, ek at a ten. A kodik at Besobe, Enigi the Nebekeyaki, art ehas anigi, Ish a hate aban to Kestruk at a legend dusty, and hit the ne non nishatain tra, a hate aban sin kes, Jai Bahadlem.
Let me be real. There is a new era of leadership rising on the Navajo Nation. That is clear. No ifs or buts. This new industry that we need to create and establish is service businesses, tire change companies, oil change companies, businesses that solve our problems for everyday needs. A lot of people on the Navajo Nation can't even go to a local corner shop and get their oil changed, or get their tire fixed, or get their car repairs. We are lacking these type of service businesses on the Navajo Nation. I think we should start there and build around that. The other thing that we got to look at is the rising cost of our food, our gasoline, and everything across the board. If you want to practice no BS economic sovereignty, let's build our own gas stations and deliver our own tribal fuel networking system. Let's build our own grocery stores, stop relying on bashes. You want to stop there? You want to stop money leaking off the Navajo Nation? That's where you start at. Because right now we have millions of dollars leaking off the Navajo Nation. And if we look at that, where does that go? That goes down to Phoenix. That goes down to California. That goes off Navajo Nation. Yes, they provide jobs, but we need to surround and trap this money on the Navajo Nation, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Next, we have Andrew Curley, same question.
Yeah. Many years ago, there were these Spanish that came through this area, and they were chasing something called Cibola, 7 cities of gold. And they were chasing it to futility, meaning they could never find it, and it was always something on their mind. And I think this is something that can characterize our economic development approach. We are always looking for that golden industry, and we're always looking externally, but we don't invest in ourselves and we don't look internally. And I think it's about time that the Navajo Nation prioritizes entrepreneurs and people working and living off the land rather than trying to attract big industries as golden solutions for the Navajo Nation. So that's number one. That's the key to my platform. Now, when it comes to boom and bust industries, when it comes to things like coal, I actually did a lot of research on this. I ended up writing a book on it, and it was about the decline of the coal industry on the Navajo Nation. And one thing to be clear is that it was a unique industry, and we can't think that every energy economy that comes out of the nation would have the same features of coal. Coal was a large employer, had a lot of jobs alongside revenues. It's hard to get that in fossil fuels, other kinds of extraction, as well as renewable energies. So that's why I'm saying let's not chase these outside industries. Let's invest on what people are doing on the land right now. I would like to invest in public works projects, get recipients of financial aid and scholarships to come out here and work on the Navajo Nation. So that's key to my projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we have Miss Crystalline Curley. New question. Question number 10. Economic development is also about whether people can actually live and work on the Navajo Nation. Many employers struggle to hire workers, while many workers struggle to find housing. How are these challenges connected, and what would you tackle first? Jutten nebi keya ke eya na nishallo ada ko ena nishanshtra ko ena nishadet ahat nilya a ko hawan aden hatni a ko shaat chigandole sa eya chidi da bilkha eda da o ko heshiya hosinoda elsail kelia jo wanigi bje na hot e a ko di na ide kidigi eya non-nish aten no akonish ha non-nish hadet anesha eya hawan ayise bje na hot eya els isobach na a
So many of our children go off to live off the Navajo Nation. And first and foremost, we, on a given day, on average, I'm as a researcher, I'm always data-driven, policy-driven as a researcher. Even today, we have over 2,500 vacancies across the Navajo Nation. 7% of our job openings on the Navajo Nation are private, meaning small businesses. Over 50% are government jobs, either healthcare, education, or Navajo Nation government. 13% is actually for tribal enterprises. So if you look at that, you look at the most biggest employer, we're looking at our tribal government and in our enterprises. They should be able to have that conversation with NHA, somebody, I am that president to help lead those connections, collaboration. If it's not a niche, I don't know why we continue right in divided areas. So we So hopefully I get my time back. Another area is also broadband. So actually, to give a fact, the council is actually the one that provided over 200 million in investment for broadband. I mentioned earlier that 99% of our job is on site, meaning that only 1% is via Zoom or via telecommunication or online that you do your job. So we do have that investment.
Thank you. Next, we have Tom Chi with the same question.
Thank you again for your question. I've been driving to this casino for several years now. And it's the only building that's still here. It should be a shopping center, a shopping complex, and other hotels that's becoming the hub of this. And you know what? Our people are the only ones that are coming It's not built for you, folks. You're running to the wrong place. This is for tourists, people that have set aside their money, they're willing to gamble. We should be the workers, we should have a employee housing, there's a different ways of generating income. Onda the need le, ona hot eshe, o hota na o kistole. Ahne not anisha anina, gitele. Na sonse ya nata ho twilte. Na sonse banda sido khaita do nisti kitten hilteli bidot nidne da nejun. Bezet dot ade luosabe yo halno ni ohnecha oda nejun. De da sonsen le kede setaha chehya de dilchu bel kene khedo lahadot nidne chesna even yen ya bedot nidne nejun. Oye naitish kit khayla kiti zet to ahla. No, I did. I could not die. He did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Isn't the Navajo language so poetic? Okay, next we have Mr. Arvin Trujillo. We're going to have question number 11. Many young Navajos leave home to pursue education and employment. Building a stronger economy also means creating reasons and opportunities for people to stay and return. What is one action your administration would take to keep young people living and working on the Navajo Nation? Hate Albacadi was at the Nebekaya has argued the Hana Nisho, the Hana Lao, hate out qua the Ne Bekaya Bakadi was.
First of all, I need to be careful because I'm allergic to cats. But looking at what I would do, what action I would do, I think the first thing I would do is begin with the end in mind. We need to establish an economic development policy. Today, we just have a strategy, or we try to get a strategy that we don't follow. We need a policy so we know what we want to do. What are we going to try to accomplish? That once we have that policy in place, looking at industrial development or looking at manufacturing or looking at agriculture, what is it we want to do? Now we can prepare our young people. We have workforce development programs. We have internships. We look at the government. How do we get our kids involved in our government process? We give out scholarships. We should have them come back. We give you a scholarship, you come back and you work for us for a few years. Then we can begin to get our young kids involved in our government. They can go to the chapters. At the chapters, they are looked upon with great admiration by our young people. That will begin to grow. They can go off the reservation, get experience. When we're ready for them, they come back, experience. I've done that as a mining engineer. We can do that across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arvin Trujillo. Next, we have Emily Ellison with the same question.
Yeah. Came a lot. Ani. We did everything done. It's already here. You're done. Good thing we can think and we can see. No house, no job, no industry. What's a measurement of economics? You're driving at night, how much lights is in your neighborhood? Then. So how do we bring back our youth? How do we bring you home? Our urban Navajos, our educated ones. How do we bring you back? housing, mixed housing, apartments, townhouses, condos, ranches. We have the land to do it. I ran in 2018. I still have my platform on my Facebook page. Land design, it's all listed there. I've been thinking about this for so long, and again, it's not my idea. Lots of other tribes have already done it. Salt River Tribe, they're already exploring these concepts. What we need is leaders who will sit down, write the policies out, write those laws, and make us follow it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have question number 12 for Mr. Myron Lizer. Many young Navajo people leave home to pursue education and employment. Building a stronger economy. Oh, sorry, that was the last question. 12, if you could complete most government services online, such as the Navajo CIB, would you use them? Digital sovereignty means having the ability to govern our own information, deliver our own services, build digital systems that reflect Navajo priorities, instead of depending entirely on outside governments or companies. Right now, we lack a lot of digital services and systems across the reservation. While this seems minor, it directly impacts our ability to generate and retain the wealth. This percentage of tonight's audience say they would use online government services if they were available. What would your administration accomplish over the next 4 years to modernize government services, and what would your first step be?
DirecTV in one bakata nas aya e aden hiliata it igi esha I see that then edita eya cell phone besh besla pahliki aya just here hats etla ado ahol on wasata attentia jo the nepikeya sa anigi internet desne Wi-Fi desne digital services desne e balgana echebain shit ish 8 out eya Yat echo adolni skilonal nisho late eshach ehna patle ado atia eshabach ehna a.
All right, thank you for that. Well, this is the age of the digital age, right? And we need to do what is the hard thing. Leaders do hard things. The plight of the Navajo Nation, and a lot of our people have been saying, how do you protect our data? How do you protect our sovereignty? Well, what better way to do that than to have our ability to keep our data on our nation, relying on ERP, which is an enterprise resource platform. Why can't we use our Navajo entrepreneurs? I'm thinking of Wyatt Gilmore. Is he in the crowd? He's an entrepreneur who, I'm thinking of some other Hojo Technologies. I mean, over in Shiprock. These guys are very smart, and we need to put them to work to help build our ERP, our own ERP, and not shop it out to Microsoft, not shop it out to PeopleSoft, not shop it out to anybody. And so I think we can build our own, and our own people will help us keep our sovereignty strong within our own system. Where do we want to go? I believe what Arvin has said about having a policy. If we have a policy, then we'll know where to go. And so I think that under a Lizer administration, we will have everything in place because we know where we want to go. And as a business owner, you know, I'm a job creator. I'm not a taker. And so I want you to vote for Lizer.
Thank you. Mr. Justin Jones will have the same question. And audience, you can see the poll on the side here. 44% says yes, they will utilize the services online if it was provided for them. There is a small factor of folks out there that prefer to do these things in person. Same question, Mr. Justin Jones.
This kind of is a segue off of the last question that was asked. I said infrastructure of telecommunications and broadband. This is the essence, this is the foundation of all of it. Johot a ito na kindligon juno na lishtolich. John need a kohod need 244.6 million kohod nil johot ne. Harsha la shigo e January be adisha hadish niltid. Arosha hadish nilgit ago e sa in linigi. We have to upgrade our telecommunications and our internet systems. The Bodaway Gap Chapter House, they have to drive all the way to Window Rock just to sign an insurance form. If we have all this upgrade, then they can just send it by internet, do DocuSign, and they could send it back. You just saved about $1,500 in overhead right there. We have to go from the paper side. We're a paper society still. We're back in the 1800s. We are all digital. And I think that the Navajo Nation departments, I would like people down in Phoenix to apply to register to vote down in Phoenix by telecommunications.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Justin Jones. Next, we have Debbie Nez Manuel, question number 13. Which Navajo Nation government process has cost you the most time? Every hour spent driving paperwork, waiting in line, calling various departments for information contributes to economic leakage. Business owners often say the hardest part of starting a business isn't opening the business, it's the time, stress, and expenditures of resources to navigate unclear and undocumented processes. If elected, what specific government processes would you target, and how exactly will you plan to eliminate bottlenecks for local business owners? Paperwork Shabi gata a akona jilne dinan le no dinal sos na di sos no e de da de jira den le tabra hotzan de jira e donal nishta he's on leave that ni ya ko peso bahilne jodi de a half a day in la whole day that's in all the back ko just je ko peso otenlia Akonan ahitene ape na nish ilaha di an ape na nishpanta inihe Asia hate our a pakati luas as yugo yanan ahigi a bottleneck de sneer Asian milhabaj hoti ah.
Thank you for the question. I had this conversation here in the lobby yesterday with Rika educator, and we were talking about that. She was saying that she met with these individuals who were getting their benefits, and she said, I work with a lot of people, Debbie, and I'm on a time limit. What can I do? And I said, it's not what you can do, but what your company can do. We use Google platforms in a lot of different ways, and we use YouTube through the council when we're watching sessions. We use YouTube for different things. We need to have individuals record a succinct message in English and in Navajo that has all the information, because what happens is when we call the chapter house, when we call Window Rock, when we call elections office or vital records, what happens is the person behind the desk only gives you enough information when they have about 3 minutes to tell you something. And then a few minutes later, another person comes in, maybe it's their relative. This is how you do it. And they spend 20 minutes with them. And then over here, a good friend or colleague comes in, then they give them a lot more information. There's no consistency in our messaging. We need to use a platform that's consistent for everybody and that they can go to first before they have to call. That will streamline everything we have to do. We also have personal cost saving to purchase these programs so it can happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Jordan Begay, same question.
Oh, the Nebanat Ani Salinko, going back to the 100 days action plan and looking at the small business, I think what we need to do is create a one-stop economic development department. That department will be able to issue the licenses, the registrations, be able to assist small business owners in filing their taxes. Because of course, with revenue, you have your LLCs, your sole proprietorships. And organizations such as Change Labs, the work that they do in our communities, we know there's a Tuba City Hub and not ani nes de alto because Diné the business hadesh zinko eya yaka natja. So through that, be able to create that one-stop economic development department where we're ensuring that our portals are online so our people can start their businesses in quick time. I myself am a small business owner. It took me less than 5 minutes to start my business and through the Arizona website and get my LLC, my certificate of good standing. When it comes to the Navajo Nation, it's taken me over 6 months. I'm sending my Manila folder back to Window I didn't fill out the correct application that's on the website. They told me to read the whole thing. I had to fill it out, send it back to Window I didn't sign one paper. It comes back to you. That's where we're at. So that's what I would work on, is making it digitized. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, for your participation. So according to the polls, it looks like a high percentage waiting for approvals seems to be the highest percentage. Next would be traveling to submit paperwork, then making multiple trips for documents that are missing, and then lack of response. So those are the top 4 problematic areas. Next, we're going to go to Donovan Begay, question 14. Which economic measures should the Navajo Nation publicly report every year? The Navajo Business Opportunity Act was intended to increase opportunities for Navajo-owned businesses. Yet there's no reporting or publication available that routinely measures whether these policy goals are being achieved. Which economic indicators should the Navajo Nation publish regularly so citizens can evaluate whether economic development policies are working? Akoti the nek not the kidiki eya Navajo Business Opportunity Act wilya et the ne apenan nishiyo wolo e hot e beso el enigi you are you the nebekeyako hot eya ye de ya ako dikwa at the nebenat ani sin lingo hashit eya deepik iseneldo hashit eya nihe nihilhotilne ekwan masan bagan chebagan kinala bagad edan le flagstaff kishan the baganiki ish hate eya ti ntaan nishiki hajo bik isenelo nihilhotilne. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Navajo Business Opportunity Act is basically, I believe, is a opportunity to contracts, has to do with contracts over $50,000. And I think there's a lot of red tape going on in these, but then it's there for a reason. We're dealing with that with our housing program, with the ARPA situation, where people kind of like jumped processes to get a contract. The next thing, it turns into a big controversy. So going back and looking at a lot of the processes and having everybody follow the processes starts from the top, starts from the office of the president. And you got to be able to look at those, but then also our leaders, our delegates, they need to be able to look at all the processes. Everybody is following those processes. So that's the reason why we round up in our this situation with $24 million is because some things, some processes weren't followed. So I think that having those processes accounted for through the accountability of the judicial system needs to be upgraded and followed.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan Begay. So if you look at the screen, you'll see some of the top numbers, percentage of contracts awarded to Navajo-owned businesses. That's what people would like to see. Also, jobs created, how many jobs are being created here on Navajo Nation. Next, we have number of Navajo-owned businesses. So these are some of the numbers that folks would like to see, and that's the poll coming from the audience. And next, we move to Mr. Frank Daesh, same question.
I would continue to implement the economic development strategy that the Navajo Nation has put together. However, I would start to enhance it with all this information that is being presented today. We need to track it. We need to put due dates on it. Then we need to put responsible people in charge of it. In my case, I would work with my vice president. Today, you can see that what has happened to our vice president. I saw information earlier where she was saying she didn't even receive the budget. She doesn't even know what the Navajo Nation budget is. So I would work with my vice president to implement these sorts of issues to ensure that we continue to move these initiatives forward. So that's the type of activity that you need, working with one another. So you have to take the initiative to continue to move the Navajo Nation forward. We need to take a look at the structure of the Navajo Nation, and I'm going to let you know that the Vice President supports a vision. The Vice President will support a vision. The President sets the vision. So that's what would happen in this case. And so what's not happening is there's no communication to move these initiatives forward. So I'd like to answer that question from that perspective. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Buu Nygren. Question number 15. What is the biggest obstacle preventing chapters from advancing economic projects? And you'll see the polls here on the side here. Top would be percentage of contracts awarded to Navajo-owned businesses. Next would be jobs created. Next would be number of new Navajo-owned businesses. So here's the question. Our final policy question is about economic decisions should be made. Many chapters have identified local economic opportunities and want to move forward with these projects. Some community leaders say that chapters lack the authority, the funding, and flexibility to act quickly, while others believe centralized oversight is necessary to ensure accountability. Do you believe chapters have the authority and resources they need to lead local economic development? If not, what would you change? Akodi not the kitiki in chapter house. Totnas lene bikin sa aniki akote hlilia chapter house. A adabet his anigi ako jodi peso na ja do heshi not anin lo quas tahi pesha sa anda. Ado does he hondal nishigi to a art trago il trago. Ahashit out a bonsin casti chapter than the Nishiki, Adats a higa, the car elie dats, editat is all tifon dad nishta. A cohesion yisent dish ahigi a halt albon dil nish.
Chubia, when I rekidigi needy, Jotratnas, the Liberty has argo hit all up in Naniste, Yosge, hit all the Ehos Nipa, Nidiagos, Vacations, O Biganson, Junle Totines, Desido Totination, Jonoba, the Dodo Nahonta, the Nish, Ishabina, Doat, and Nesnatino, Nesna, Tatnas, the Liberty has argo, the Egon, Jonodolin, so on this case, out of the Pintasid, Michigan laid, and ha Archicate had any Tohajale, do Alamo, do Rama, lay your Toja with Haha, Georgia, Anna Pace of Johonati, Haishab, never had the Never Ado, the Never Washington, but Nahantlagi, and the Hisham, get no E. Pentas, Nashe, hot o, Petahitos, as a hot o, Yat a hot near the Nat Sos Hadish Lavane, your Toja, how Georgia large and not Ani, then give it a Hoishla, for the hate partners, then Anhibitin Dasnish, Haishet, the Never and Ado Washington, the Banahan Lido, we got the hot ocean nada di listen so ban case yesin jgono be has ani jot nebanan ajno ito be has ani jo zota she hodo be case zenige at and ohodni jgono bahni gago biga han so hoto do ha shit sabagan hot zano the ne sada kha tho ye da hedne to nire bahda osti khanne do da hot enigi ad kha naz leben da has an jgono do le aro at and peso do ohodni beta has slo ape atin zon da national sa cho yes ai ta ba ta is le hoto da di lim so ban case ke he.
Thank you, Mr. Buu Nygren. Next, we have Alexander Chambers with the same question.
I thought I was going to give the Navajo Business No Opportunity Act. So anyway, with our chapters, let's get down to it. Number one, I think there's a lot of corruption and favoritism in chapters. If we end that first, and then we can be real about these discussions. We can sugarcoat it, we can color it any way you want, but at the end of the day, if that exists, it's still going to be the same. If experience alone could solve all these problems, all these leaders stand up here, the has-beens that said, well, we can fix these things. If that was the case, why hasn't it been done? Why are we still discussing these same old issues? Why are we still tap dancing? I've did that. That's a broken song I've already heard, ladies and gentlemen. The fact is, we are going in a new direction. The fact is, once we end the corruption and all these other things, then we can move in the direction of creating a private economy and bringing our chapters together. That is real. That is boots on the ground. These chapter officials are running on little systems right now. They don't communicate. They say Winderock doesn't hear us. That is a fact. Winderock doesn't really coordinate with the chapters. So if we're going to be real, that's where we're going to start. And ask yourself one question. How can we fix this? Why is it still the way it is? You go figure.
Thank you. Okay, well, those are all 16 questions for tonight. I think we've, oh, wait. Yeah.
I think I gave the best answer.
Yeah, it was 16. So we're going to start with our closing statement, and I'm going to go back to the furthest down, Frank Dayish. Okay, so when you think about Navajo economy today, which word comes to mind first? Now I'm going to give each candidate an opportunity to make closing remarks before I wrap up this forum. Each candidate has 1 minute to share what Navajo entrepreneurs will be able to rely on for the next 10 years. The next not the kitty aya, juti the nebekayake, hashit out a peso, hashit out a peso neja, hashit out a peso no seto, a cotiqua, the nebanot ani nasan ligo, hajon kilhotilne, hashit alban sin kesiki, dik hat out aya, the ne nata alito less. Yeah, this is the closing statement. So each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the same question. We'll go all the way down.
There are three basic industries for any economy. One of them is agriculture. We have one up here, Navajo Agricultural Product Industries. The water hasn't been finished. Navajo Indian Irrigation Project, the federal government has not stood up and completed that project today. So that's one of the things that need to be completed. Manufacturing, that's the second item. So anywhere you go, you need to have manufacturing to start an economy. The third one is land. We need to continue to expand and preserve and protect the land that we have. And when I talk about protecting the land that we have, I'm talking about the resources. I'm talking about the water that's underground. We do not need data centers on the Navajo Nation. We need to preserve the water that we have so that we can continue to move forward as a nation. So those are the concerns that we have. Once you put the basic industry jobs in there, there's a multiplier effect. So every basic industry job that's created, 3 service sector jobs are created. Frank Dace Jr., position number 6. Thank you.
Biga juyat dole na hiso khedon lero hada so kizi khoya yese lanj naide kirigi nat ani nasen kleo he odenen na nishde yo keri bkhan adi to shehro bansis kesa asar nes na tino ba honde la dambil sat ne po ne apin dinigi na nishiyo wotgi bichi hotel ya to khata to nesto na nish bichi hotel hotel ya chidi nat ani nashdi ya aho na to shibkhan adi chance bansis kes just aro tonde ka aida pe deni lishe society nes that society no ma se pi the meal sa hoto ata netgi tin de khwa yos wotgi bich hol ga e o chi ata ni to na nish
changing things, what it means, a thing to you.
95 countries in this world, we will rank beyond 125 largest land base in this world. And we are not even farming 1% of that land base. If we were to increase it by 2-3%, we would be the breadbasket of the Southwest. Increase it to 5%, we would feed the whole United States. We would be wealthy. The land, the wealth is in the land. It's not outside our land. We are the wealth with our culture, with our language, with our uniqueness as an indigenous group. People come around the world to see what Navajo is about. We must maintain that status as we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, to properly introduce myself, Shays is a Kadin Schlimp, Anye Bashin, Nakaidenet, Bashin Dashichedo, Nakaidenet, Dashanala. Looking at what we're expanding now in the economic development, we need to bring our biggest potential in play, our people. We need to bring our people together to begin to solve problems. I'm an engineer. That's what I've done throughout my career, is solve problems. Complex problems. You can look on my website to see what issues we tackled with DNR and what we got done. This was experience. This is what we know. We learned what worked, we learned what didn't work, and we changed and we made things happen. That's what you want. You deserve a government that listens, that responds, and that generates results. That's what you're hungry for. Arbinger Hill, position 3. Thank you very much.
Our leader did not show up for State of the Union. 1, 2, 3. Our Supreme Court has not issued a judgment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. An investigation needs to happen and it's missing 25 million. Somebody puts their buddy in there, so no investigation. The council, where's those laws? They're busy protesting. They're busy taking our money out that they don't have to answer for. They're sitting there here again saying, vote for me. I'm going to think about your problems, Navajo people, on this case, while they're getting money. It keeps going and going. When are we going to say no? We're going to say no in this election. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gives me the ability to be here. I also want to recognize my beautiful wife of 35 years. Dottie, would you wave to everybody? The second lady of the land. And I recognize Penny Emerson, valiant, brilliant lady entrepreneur for many, many years, many, many employees. So what will we leave behind for our children? This is our why. When you know your why, your what, economic development will be more impactful. I believe that I should be the next president to help get us out of the doldrums. The next president will have no money. ARPA is gone, $2.1 billion. Where did it go? She's talking about 25 of it. I don't know. I mean, we could open up that investigation. But I want to get Navajo Nation ready, willing, and able. Diné, are you ready, willing, and able? Myron Lizer, position 1. Look no further.
What you're going to get from a Navajo Nation president, Justin Jones, is one thing for business owners: immediate and complete enforcement of the Navajo Business Opportunity Act and the Navajo Preference and Employment Act. Period. What will this entail? This is going to entail Navajo business owners are going to get contracts prioritized given to them, not anybody else. It does not mean you're going to have several proposals here and then the rest of them are non-Navajo proposals and you're going to go through the trouble and then not give the Navajo business owner these contracts. No more. That stops today. Secondly, it's going to prevent waivers of law where now what we're doing is we're waiving the law so that we hire non-Navajos. So a complete enforcement of these laws.
The reality, in this administration, $23.7 million was returned to New Mexico for capital outlay funds. $24 million was returned, went missing from Navajo Nation. $15 million was returned to Daltex from Daltex, so we couldn't do renovations. We're still missing a 24th Navajo Nation speaker's report. It's been requested for 3 years. In total, 62 million just missing. It's gone. We can't use it. You can't use it. Chapters can't use it. When we look at this administration, investors are fearful of investing in us. Federal offices, 574 tribes, Indian affairs, foundations. These investors no longer trust Navajo Nation because of this current administration. Unfortunately, the next president will be forced to create damage control. Debbie Nez Manuel, Navajo Nation President, candidate number 12.
Joyate nana shikedo sidne demodo na kitchen ya isha so go ne natin asa go ne nahast a pato yat nana she Dr. Jordan Bigayan is the July 21st, I humbly ask each and every one of you people here, thank you guys for coming this evening, and to everyone on the lives, please go and vote. We have over 145,000 Navajos who are registered to vote. I hope all 145,000 Navajos go to vote. Again, thank you for participating in your government. Cast your I see not ani salinko so the nepelintas shigito shandal nisa desnida do. Nisko 8 I see not on well yeah although again I just want to ask everyone to get out there and vote. Please vote for a person who knows the competency of the job. Don't vote based off popularity.
Yeah, Dave. To this point, I haven't heard any solid economic development plans here. I'm the only one who's saying, hey, let's fix up our fairgrounds. Let's fix up our facilities. Let's attract more people to come to our Navajo Nation areas so that everybody probably has an artist in their family. We're the ones out there sitting at the flea market, sitting in mud. We're sitting in puddles. We're walking through rocks and everything. We need to fix up those fairgrounds. That is our biggest industry on the Navajo Nation is the artists. We're the ones creating and keeping the industry of tourism coming in the Navajo Nation. So we have to fix it. We have to do that. So likely I'm the only one who's going to do it because everybody else is going to play politics and nothing's ever going to happen. You just look at everything the way it is, it's going to stay the same. Inshallah.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan Begay. So that concludes all the questions, answers. I want to thank each of the candidates for joining us tonight. I'd also like to thank all of you, the audience, for helping us shape tonight's conversation. Thank you for being a part of the participants in our own economic sovereignty. I would also like to thank Change Labs for inviting me to moderate our conversation and also for organizing tonight's forum.
Finally, tonight's forum is made possible by Native Voices Rising Grant. Native Voices Rising Grant, thank you so much. There are several questions we asked in tonight's poll, and I'd like to take a few minutes to show you all the results for your benefits as well as the candidates. And they're on the screen here to the right, left. Just as they're putting it up, I'll tell you a little story. I remember I'll share a story with you when I was a little girl. In grandma trading post ice cream di quite the yogayan yapanahani hajo a delish that no yebenesh lo inashwa on sisida with ishi all marketing, sales, economy, the better Tatikieshi, you remember you get those big bags full of wool, that's how I survived college. One little rug at a time, $50, $100. Of course, my grandma ain't Navajo Economy, hashit out the peso on his behos, and it's not a brand new subject. Upon the deep by Ntago and Jano atol yeso up no seto. She has job on Sita Kesto let that the Enos Aiki a head Ntago. I believe they have the poll up now. So one of the questions first, if the next president could accomplish one thing to improve the Navajo economy, what should it be? And here are some of the audience comments and ideas. So they're shown over here to the side. Secondly, we asked the audience to rate how confident they are that it's easier to start a business on Navajo Nation today than it was 5 years ago. And here's what the audience said. Thirdly, who is the best positioned to identify economic opportunity in our community? And tonight's audience said, my laptop's frozen. Fourth, here's why most of our citizens are spending their dollars off the reservation. Finally, we also asked citizens what gives them home about our economy. So these are some of the questions that were given on the tablet or cell phone. And these are the responses that the audience gave to us. Finally, we asked all of our citizens to please go out and vote. Go to the nearest place. Oh, actually 5 o'clock today. I voted in Tuba City. I had to drive over there Wednesday and do that. Another election, November 3rd. There's an opportunity now for the audience members to pose a question to the candidates. We will make sure that each candidate receives an email summary of all these questions as well as tonight's poll results. So candidates, when you get home later tonight, check your email. You'll have all this information there for you. And now it's time for some interaction. We invite you to join us in front of the ballroom to meet the candidates and learn more about their ideas before the primary election. Thank you all for joining us. Travel home safely. And last but not least, I'm going to ask the color guards to come back in. We have the Cornfields Veterans Organization Commander Wilbur Smith, David Mitchell III, and Ricky Crawford. We'll give this time for the color guards to retrieve the colors. While you're all still standing, I'd like to say a closing prayer.
But I guess there's just some things that just don't change. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change. Want somebody to love me, to get me through my rough and rowdy days. But being with me is something that you don't want, and loving me is something that'll never be. But I did my best to make you smile for me, but I did my best to show you my love. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change now.
They'll be right out front here. Thank you. Oh.
Guess I'll just get on, fade away to that setting sun. And let the north wind carry my memory away, far away beyond White Coal Mountain. Did my best to make you smile for me. Did my best to show you my love. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change. But I guess there's just some things that just don't change now. They don't change. They don't change now. They'll never change. They don't change now. So I guess I'll just wait for you beyond Get so mad and built sometimes. Took me a lifetime to find you, babe. Well, I searched this world high and low till I found you, and now you're mine, sweet baby. Oh, can't you see? Sweet, beautiful you. Don't you know that I love you? Don't you know that I want you? Hey, every day. Sweet, beautiful you. Oh, my baby, you're the one now. And I can share this dance with. To the big
Yate, President. Good. Yate, President Nygren here. I think that was a wonderful forum. Really enjoyed the questions. I want to say thank you to Change Labs for hosting. I've always been a big fan of Change Labs during its infancy, and then NABN as well. That's what it used to be called before. And then Change Labs became to be about, and then being a former board member. And I think that together to be able to put on such a forum about what can the economy do, how can we improve the livelihood of the Navajo people, the Navajo Nation. And this is one of the reasons why we've been so laser focused on making sure that economic development is happening all across the Navajo Nation. We've negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars of right-of-way fees. That's going to go into scholarships. That's going to go back into the Navajo Nation general funds. We've been able to raise the minimum wage from $9.37 to $14.70, and also give increases all across the board for our Navajo Nation employees. We've made online to make the application online accessible, the home site lease accessible online. And I know I've heard some of the challenges. I heard some of the candidates very clearly. Yes, we have moved the nation. We have gotten things better, and that's what we've been working on. When I ran for president 4 years ago, that's what it was about, was to get the Navajo Nation moving. How can we improve the home site lease process? How can we improve the housing? How can we improve the infrastructure, bathroom additions? And that's exactly what we worked on over the past 4 years. And again, as your president, we've been focused on a lot of things all the way across the board, and including even distributing a lot of the SSBCI. We work with 3 different banks. One of the organizations is Change Labs, and we continue to move the needle forward. We've been able to help hundreds of Navajo small businesses with the small artisan grant from $5,000 to $60,000. We've also really worked on making sure that dollars did go to Navajo businesses through the ARPA contracts, whether it's Navajo Business Regulatory. Every time, every week, or every month, I'm always signing contracts that are going to Navajo businesses. This is a historic time. The past 3 years, 6 months, and some change, we've signed over hundreds of millions of dollars to our own Navajo businesses. And that is not hearsay. That is not Diné. That is truly helping and supporting our Navajo businesses. We've also made sure that a lot of the economic development projects trickle down to our small businesses. We made sure that business site lease processes were reformed almost on a monthly basis. We are constantly signing new business site leases for our business owners. We're working with their leases. We're really trying to catapult things to make sure that they're still developing. Things are moving forward. We worked on hotel, convenience stores, gas stations. We're constantly moving the needle forward because economic development has been so important to me. When we came in, the economy was closed. As I mentioned in Navajo Nation Gaming was on the bank of closing its doors, putting at risk the $200+ million loan that the Navajo Nation put up and the 1,500 jobs associated with it. We took a stance. We reopened the nation, and gaming is as strong as it's ever been. Last year, we had record numbers as well, too. We've also worked with our tribal enterprises. Navajo Transitional Energy Company delivered $3.5 million in dividends last year, over $5 million this year. That alone is almost $9 million. You include all the other tribal enterprises. Never has there been a time during a presidential administration over $10 million of dividends has come back to the Navajo Nation, outside of royalties, outside of taxes, and that's what we've been doing. There's so much. There's schools being built in many farms, in Chichita, in Crystal, various areas across the Navajo Nation. that started under this administration. Again, I'm not saying everything was us. All we did was basically say, how can we work together? How can we partner together? So many economic activities has happened all across the Navajo Nation, even to the point to get restrooms to the basic necessities over in the Four Corners Monument, making sure that the dollars that they're collecting, we just recently signed a plan so that we can deploy dollars to a lot of the major tourist areas across the Navajo Nation. So again, the list is countless. We've put on a lot of work, because I think about a lot of our contractors that did the bathroom additions, that did the houses, that did the water lines, that did the engineering. And so again, the list goes on. We have made it a priority to work with our Navajo businesses over the past 3.5 years. And if you elect me as Navajo Nation president one more term, we are going to build off of the success that we've had over the past 3 years and 6 months. And we're going to continue to build on it, because that is so important, because end of the day, we got to make sure we say what we're going to do. And that was the biggest thing that we worked on over the past 4 years, is we created a stronger economy. We had jobs. We've seen hammers. We've seen saws. We finally had people go back to work. Government people went back to work. The wages all across the board. People are more hopeful on the work that's coming down the road. And yes, we actually got ARPA dollars spent. Projects got built. Things got moving. Wastewater treatments got planned. Again, the broadband towers, as I mentioned up on stage, through our vendors, through our broadband office, we applied for over 285 million. With that, dollars that we're matching it for. So the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years, over 500 million in broadband is going to be deployed. By 2028, we're going to have 88% 5G. When I came in, it was 20% LTE. Now it's almost a 90% LTE. So again, the needle is shifting. We're thinking about you. We're working with you. So let's keep moving forward. Let's not get distracted because of the noise. And again, the mission was clear. Whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me 4 years ago, I said we'd get the Navajo Nation moving, and that's what we did. Let's build off of the history. Let's build off of our track record, and let's keep moving forward. I need your help. July 21st, this coming Tuesday, vote Buu Nygren, position number 13, and let's get on to November 3rd, and let's get on to business. And as I've always said in all my speeches, make sure you elect council delegates that will support your president, because as president, you're elected by the entire Navajo Nation people. So your votes and your voices should be respected, because your thoughts and your planning and your leadership is through the person that you elect as Navajo Nation president. So again, vote for delegates that will stand and support your Navajo Nation president as well on July 21st as well. It's an honor to be your president every single day. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep this momentum going. So, God bless each and every one of you. Take care. Hagonet.